Hi, and welcome to the call today. In Meet the Pros, we're going to be talking about forget churn, let's convert. So we've got four conversion experts that are going to talk about how to perfect your pipeline. So I'd like to introduce the four guys on the call. We've got Ben, we've got Craig, we've got Tom, and we've got Owen. Welcome to the call, guys.
Hi,
Hello.
David.
Morning.
So when we talk about this idea of forget churn and let's convert, each one of you has a very specialist role when it comes perfecting a pipeline. And in no particular order, I'd like to hear from each one of you, maybe talking about what your superpower is and what you think you can do to help people perfect their pipeline. So who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Excellent.
Cool. So my particular superpower in the conversion pipeline is words. So work copywriting, sales copywriting. So words are crucial. Words are vital. Um, the thing is, what you say is how you sell. And the thing is, with words, I think there is an emphasis that uh, a lot of words is better, which is not usually the case. The thing is, the real world tested uh the tested can I start again?
Yeah.
Oh man, this brings me back to my media studies days.
All right. So take two.
Take two, thank you.
We start the
The
whole
the, th-
thing.
the thing is with the words is you have about 8 words to sell your website when people land on the page. 8 words is pretty much the limit. And if you can't explain your benefits, your benefits to the end user in that 8 words, then you pretty much lost them straight away. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that your website has to nail it, but the thing is with conversion optimization, you can test different headlines. You don't have to be stuck with one. And it's an iterative process. It's something that you can use real world data to measure and then hypothesize, then test. And you can test until you're blue in the face because it's real estate that you own. It's a digital asset, and you can put a frontage on it and modify it as much as you want. So use that digital asset to its advantage
Mhm.
by testing, retesting, refining, and because you can, and it does lead to greater sales. And instead of just relying on one single headline that you personally think as the business owner or someone very close to it is the right one, because ultimately you got to meet your customer where they are.
Yeah, yeah. And look, I think words paint pictures. And, when people read a novel versus going to the movies, the
Hmm.
creative part of the brain kicks in. So they paint pictures from the words that are used. And I think it's undervalued. So when people are running email campaigns, when they're running websites, I think the selection of words is critical. And I feel too many people are relying on things like grammar checking, AI to write their words for them. And it might sound good to you, but if it's not appealing to the person who you're trying to convince, then those words are being wasted. So really
Yeah,
white, white.
absolutely.
And I think
Absolutely. I
you
think
get,
a lot of business owners are looking, like, imagine that you're inside a jam jar and you're looking at the label from the inside. Um, you're sort of mired in your own what you do and your process, your selling, but you have to put yourself outside that jar. And it's like, what appeals to my customer, not what I do well, what I can provide value in my own sort of terms. You have to step outside that jar that you're in and read your own label. And if your label isn't even convincing you, then it doesn't really have a chance of convincing anyone else. So the thing is, like, I think a lot of businesses want to over explain, and they sort of get stuck and bogged down in that explanation when it's like, just explain it like I'm five.
right.
Um, keep it simple. It doesn't work for every business, but that's the beauty of conversion optimization. You can test and retest and see what the highest conversion rate gets with your different tests.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Ben, let's hear from you. So what's your perspective on this topic? So you're an expert. What's your superpower? And how do you assist people in perfecting their pipeline?
Yeah, thanks for asking. My superpower is helping introverts to win sales without feeling pushy. But the funny thing is, I've been meeting a lot of people recently, and I'll say, hey, how can I help you with your sales? And I'll ask this question, how many leads are you generating each month? And funnily enough, most of them are saying none. It's like, well, sales helps to convert leads once you generate them. So I've been quietly providing LinkedIn lead generation services for a long time. The context behind that being that I've been using it since virtually day one of my sales career for generating appointments with decision makers for myself. And so now I've systemized it for my clients so that I can generate leads for them at the front. Then I can work with them on the conversion piece
Yeah.
afterwards. But the thing is, with LinkedIn lead generation, I hear this all the time. People say LinkedIn lead gen doesn't work. They find it annoying when they see messages in their inbox saying, hey, we're the best web developer in Australia. Do you need a website? It's very, very us-centric, me, me, me. We flip the script, we make it about the client, and we're offering something of value up front. And that in itself is world changing in terms of the approach. So that's the angle I'll be sharing about how not to do it, but also how to do it.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's going to help people to book more qualified sales appointments.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Elwin, let's hear from you. You're really sort of heavily engaged in the conversion on the website. So can you give us a perspective of your superpower and how you're going to approach this idea of perfecting people's pipelines?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just blends itself beautifully with what Tom's just mentioned about words matter. Words are so important. But then I guess there's two parts to it when it comes to conversion. And we kind of just look at it from a sales perspective, knowing, liking, trusting. There's actually two parts to it. There's a rational part of understanding, which I think is why words is absolutely perfect and essential to understand the facts.
Mhm.
But there's another side to that coin, which is actually the emotional side, which is actually what we call the feel and the flow, because we've come to realize first impressions are absolutely everything. And design does make a big difference. That's why we dress up on the first date we go on, not just rock up in whatever we're just wearing, because we actually believe that before we even get a conversation where we actually find the facts, it's the feels first. And so it's like a shop. We always say, you're not going to even walk into the shop to find the goodies if it doesn't look good. But looks is more than just fonts and colors and fonts and things like that. It's more to do with visual hierarchy, the placement, the layout, the actual, the flow of where you put things, because there is actually a psychology to sales. There is actual process, not just about putting whatever you want on the screen and it will work. But when you craft that structure well and you blend in great words, that's when you actually get a website that actually makes your phone ring. That's it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Because I think it's interesting. There's a bit of a thread going on, and it's about making sure you're talking to the user standing in their shoes. That's something both Ben and Tom have mentioned. And now you're talking about this idea of there's a non-verbal or there's a non-word communication that's occurring. And in my mind, there's little flags or little triggers that go up when people go through a sales process and they go, here it comes. Or in your case, what you talked about, Erwin, there's a disconnect. Now, they might not even be aware of that. They might go, oh, no, back. Right? They click the back button. Why did they click the back button? Because the color didn't match the initial color, or there's something changed in the messaging, or there's something changed in the tone. So they're very subtle, and no one actually knows that they're doing this. But I think what you're touching on is that subliminal communication that's occurring by the things that are not obvious, right? But
100%.
yeah, they're obvious when they're not there because conversion doesn't occur. But when they are working, it looks like magic's happening. So I do think that's an important element as well. So thank you. Craig, let's hear from you, superpower, and how you contribute to perfecting a pipeline.
Yeah, our superpower is around assisting with automating your sales marketing using the power of CRMs and AI. I guess what that means is when a lead comes in, it's got to house somewhere, and usually that should be housed in a CRM. Now, we're not talking about having a CRM that's like an old garage where you just basically just dump all your boxes and you can't find it later. That's usually what happens with CRMs. They just become this dumping ground. So what we do is optimize it through using automation. So thinking about it like a conveyor belt at the airport. So when you put your luggage on the conveyor belt, it gets distributed to the right plane or the right terminal where it's got to go. So it's the same things with leads. Lead comes in, the CRM understands who this person is, and in terms of what products or services that they're interested in. So therefore they are sent on a conveyor belt to then aid in that buying process of, okay, Craig has bought this product, he's therefore interested in XYZ of this particular area of the business, or potential even upsells, as
Right.
well as optimizing, okay, let's bring in the right salesperson, whether that's by state or by expertise, to then notify them that Craig is interested in this particular product or service. Therefore, he gets handed off to this particular salesperson to then close or nurture that lead. So the CRM, and combined with the automation, can be far more powerful than just a dumping ground of names and numbers and contact details.
Yeah. And, you know, I love this whole conversation because I think the idea of perfecting your pipeline is technology is moving. People's attention spans are shrinking. And when someone's attention span shrinks, you've got less latitude on how you communicate to them, because the first email matters. Where it used to be, it doesn't matter if they don't read the first one, they'll read the second, third, or fourth one. And the truth of the matter is they read the first one, and if it doesn't thrill them and excite them, they're gone. And so landing pages, messages, they need to be crafted to perfection when people's attention is being crunched, because they're not spending the time saying, oh, look, it doesn't matter if there's a spelling mistake, I'll continue. It's like back button, out of here, 500,000 other messages are trying to grapple for my attention. So I think this idea of tuning and perfecting your pipeline using real world technology, using real world benefits for the client, and really tuning it in is becoming more important now than ever. So I see that this topic is going to be a game changer for those people who are planning to improve their conversion rate for 2026, because I'm hearing a lot of people saying conversion's dropping, leads are dropping, quality is dropping. And I think a lot of it has to do with volume. You know, people are shouting louder, people are using AI to produce prolific content, but it's noise, right? So the smart player goes, let's unravel this and let's go human. Let's really think about the words that matter. Let's think about the colors that matter. And let's think about how do we push these people through a process. Because I agree with you, Craig. I think now the telemetry that we get in CRM is I can capture bits of information on the way. I call it telemetry, because by the time I have 3 or 4 questions answered by you, I've got a profile on you. I can use that profile now to communicate with you. And so if I'm not doing that, if I'm using generic messaging, I'm leaving money on the table. And so it didn't matter in the past because people would accept, I get 10 emails a day. Now we're getting hundreds of emails a day. I don't have that latitude. So I'm looking for the emails that give me value immediately, that make me want to continue. So I think that's super important. Look, guys, I wanted to keep this short. I really wanted to just get a bit of an insight from each of you about one compelling thing that you think is a key message and why people should be attending this event. So if you could give us a 1-sentence comment, and maybe we'll start with you, Ben. What is the one reason that people should attend this event?
They should attend if they want to book leads, sales qualified leads on LinkedIn without coming across as salesy or pushy.
Yeah, and I think that's about helping people rather than selling to them. Fantastic. What about from you, Tom? What's your thoughts on this?
I think if people should come to this event if they want to change their mindset around using words as a one-time sales outreach. People should come to this event.
So being a wordsmith, you want to get it
Yeah,
perfect.
I want to be precise. I'm really thinking about it. People should come to this event if they want their words to be the thing that drives people towards their sales pipeline, and to convince people over and over again without coming across as stale or stuffy or out of alignment with their customers. So they use the words not just once, but a million times to make sales over and over again.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. And Erwin, from you, in 1 sentence, why should people attend this event?
Yeah, I think people should attend because you're losing leads and tenders without even knowing. People are actually checking and validating and making sure the decisions are correct by looking at, say, for example, your website, and you're actually losing people because they just don't know, like, or trust you. And we can get around that quite quickly.
Yeah, fantastic. And from you, Craig?
Yeah, in terms of, I guess, capturing leads, engaging with leads and converting leads, that's all part of a process. It's part of a system.
Yeah.
And if there's happened to be, and we're seeing this quite a lot, if there's a kink in that chain, that's where that lead is gone. So people should come to this event because we're going to make that whole process, that whole system seamless.
Yeah, fantastic. And look, I'll sum it up this way. People who are seeing an erosion in conversion, right? If your conversion is dropping as a result of what's happening in the real world, chances are that your message is dated, right? When attention spans shrink, messages change, right? Because we haven't got the affordability of time to give people a full message. We need to get them interested and engaged. So I think, the key message is if your pipeline is failing you, or if you don't have a pipeline, this event will help you rebuild it in 2026. And I think that's a critical element for anyone who's sort of looking on how do I do things better in 2026. And I think that if you haven't addressed your pipeline in 12 months, it's probably out of date and it definitely needs an overhaul. And what better way to get an overhaul than have 4 experts talking to you about the 4 different perspectives. So guys, I'm pretty excited about the event. I know it's going to help people improve their conversion. It's going to improve their revenue, improve their profit, but they need to get there. In other words, they need to be there to learn what they need to change. So once again, thanks very much for your time today. Looking forward to putting this event together, and I'm sure that it's going to have epic outputs. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, David.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.